House prices across the UK fell by 0.2% in March, with a marked fall across much of the south of England according to latest land registry figures. In London, prices tumbled to an extent that prompted property experts to pitch buyers as scenting blood in the water, with sellers forced into steep price cuts, with the annualized rate of inflation dropping to minus 0.7%, the steepest fall since 2009. But that annualized fall in the capital disguises heavier falls in recent months, with the statistics showing prices fell by 0.9% in March alone, and have been falling since the EU referendum in June 2016. The second lowest annual growth was in the northeast, where prices increased by 2.1% in the year to March 2018. Despite the national fall in prices in March, the annual rate of inflation remained at 4.2% in March, unchanged from the month before. March's fall knocked £500 off the average price of a home, which fell to £224,000. For first-time buyers, this is still £9,000 higher than in March 2017. The 4.2% annualized inflation figure recorded by the UNS is significantly higher than the figures from indices produced by Halifax and Nationwide, which stand at 2.2% and 2.1% respectively. Land registry data records actual prices paid and then registered, compared to the indices from the lenders, which try to capture price activity at the point of sale. Separate figures from UK Finance reveal that transaction activity in London has declined over the past year. The number of first-time buyers fell by 3%, while the number of home movers dropped by 4.3% in the first quarter of 2018, compared with the same period a year earlier. Lucy Pendleton, founder-director of independent London estate agents James Pendleton, said the capital is ahead of the game in making much-needed adjustments to maintain demand, and that's no bad thing in the long term. Affordability problems have been driving down sales volumes, and these remain subdued. They fell massively according to last month's bulletin and are still sliding heavily on an annual basis, down 12% in England at the last count. Nationally, buyers and sellers are going to have to make up their minds pretty soon which way the market needs to move. When that happens, the capital will be seen to have led the pack, as it typically always does. Outside London, only the northeast is being buffeted by inflation. Prices being achieved across the rest of the country still betray a housing market in relatively rude health. Looking at the numbers, it's less a case of a two-speed housing market, and more a case of pick any speed you like. The regions are showing growth across the spectrum, and this is now a persistent trend, which is striking as London contracts. New builds are still seeing the biggest annual rises because of first-time buyer tax breaks and incentives, which could be driving some of this mixed picture, and we could finally be seeing some diversification away from London. The only problem with that is that it tends to happen as people spot the value in down pricing, rather than downsizing by moving into different areas, and, as with everything else, this shift is cyclical and unlikely to last for long, she said. John Eastgate, sales and marketing director at One Savings Bank, the stats showed, "We're not as confident as we were a couple of years ago." Equally, no one was forecasting anything disastrous for the UK economy. HPI levels in excess of 5% are arguably not sustainable, so we should welcome this more moderate figure, noting that even at this level, HPI is still comfortably in excess of wage inflation. Set against the backdrop of insufficient levels of new house building, we still therefore face a housing market characterized by increasing affordability challenges and scarcity of supply. Last week's research from the National Housing Federation shows the scale of the problem. The country needs 340,000 new homes each year, a figure significantly above the government target, reinforcing the crucial need for a coordinated housing strategy.